call the Village of Midlothian Board meeting for December 9th, 2015 to order. Roll call. Trustee Gillis.
Here.
Trustee Ivan.
Here.
Trustee Killily. Trustee Kreis. Here. Trustee LaRue.
Here.
Trustee Mosco.
Here.
Mayor Ryback here. Please stand for the pledge and stay standing for a moment of silence for our veterans. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, I will open the floor to public comment. If you'd like to address the board, now is the time to do so. Yes.
Yes, well, what would be the prefacing of Madam Mayor? All right, I just have a brief statement about the water bills. All right, I know that Chicago is increasing the water bills all the time. All right, but it's unreasonable to me that the board insists on applying the late charge the day after the bill is due. All right, and I know it's the billing cycle and all of that, but especially in December, I mean, you guys want people to come up with $200, $300, $400 3 days before Christmas. All right, and that's just it's not. What would I say? It's not the proper thing to do. I know it's the political thing to doing things like that, and I know bills have to be paid, you know. But as far as the late fees go, they also should not be on usage or on the amount of the bill. It should be one late fee across the board, right? And not applied until 30 days after the bill is due. That way, everybody has got the chance. The way it's set up now, 9 out of 10 of the households cannot come up with the full amount at that particular time, and they can't. And the next day it goes up, like mine goes up $70 the next day. You know, I don't understand why the board can't just come up with something, you know, like a flat late fee throughout the village, and it comes 30 days after the bill comes, because the bill doesn't come out every 3 months. You know, but I don't think that 30 days would be a rash thing to do. You know, and I mean, I know it would not help bills getting paid, but there are a lot of big water users out there that are way behind and should have been cut off a long time ago. But I don't know if it's political pressure put on you by other members or business leaders that are putting, well, you know, hey, we can't afford to pay this. Hey, if they're the biggest users and they're the biggest scofflaws, why not go after them first? You know, that's about all I got to say.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Just one last topic, you know, Lister Avenue. I don't know if did you all get my email I sent? I tried to send it, not very good on computers. Al, did you get it? You guys?
I did not get
I
it.
did not get it either, and I just checked my email about
No, I sent it the
6:30.
other day. I'm not real good at forwarding
Okay.
stuff, so I'm sorry about that. But anyhow, it's just, you know, the same request. It's let them there. They're not detrimental to anything. You know, we've got them in other places in the neighborhood, other places all around, schoolyards, you know, and stuff like that. I think if they were detrimental to various municipalities, wouldn't allow them there. I put a comment in there about, you know, the idea of a stop sign. We got a stop sign down at the corner, 143rd, you know where that's all at, right by the retention pond. People go right through it. You can't have police officers sitting there. They're wasting our police officers' time doing that, so I don't see how stops are beneficial. I seen a guy at 6:10 this morning go flying by southbound, not northbound, but southbound past my house. It's a speed hump. That's what it's designed for. It's not to speed. I don't, you know, it's in front of my house, not in front of anybody else's house. My house. The one I'm talking about. Okay, the other one's down by Pat's house or something like that. about if somebody's in front of my house, you know, and the other part of my memo was also that, I think we all go over railroad tracks and potholes every day, many times every day. And I think you just live with it, you get over it, you live with it. I go over this thing every day myself, I don't even know it's there, I don't even know it's there. I mean, it's there for a reason, you know, to hopefully slow things down, and protect lives, and maybe someday save a life. That's all I can finally tell you, and to that end, I would appreciate your consideration. Sorry I didn't know to get here, all of you, but I know, good.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, if I could, so I'm Ron's next door neighbor. So just to maybe add some detail to what he said, I live there, I've got kids. I don't know if you know this section, it's very narrow, it's very dark, there's no sidewalks. So, like him, I see kids through that section all the time. I see cars through there pretty fast. So, I don't know how many stop signs you can put in to correct that. It doesn't seem like so I just want to kind of jump on what Ron said and agree. I think it's there for a reason, it was put in for a reason, and my opinion is it just did.
Thank you.
I live right there, I live right where the narrows down, I'm the neighbor. The kids walk through the sidewalks, they cut through there, and then they walk down that street, and they have to be slowed down, that's it. I mean, not, they come flying down that street, and that's the way it is. They all walk with their phones, their heads down, somebody's gonna kill them, so.
Appreciate it, thank you.
I'm another neighbor, and I live right where it narrows down and widens, however you want to put it. Now, since you put in that speed bump, what we've noticed, when we would back out before, back out of your driveway, and you're going to, start going, all of a sudden you've got somebody flying next to you, because that's very wide where the section we live in. They come out of that, they were coming out of that narrow road at a good 35 miles an hour. You're backing out of your driveway, you're starting to go straight, and all of a sudden, you've got like this car shooting past you. Now, if that street was not so wide, we would have been hit a couple of times, because you cannot see them. There's, from where it narrows to where it widens is one yard from my driveway. And so, since that's been there, we don't have that problem anymore, because they can't get their speed up that fast after that speed bump. So it has slowed traffic down a lot.
Thank you.
Hi, Peter Kelly. I live 14416 Linder, and I live right next door to the area they're talking about where it widens. I'm the first house where it widens. So when you pull out of the driveway, the speed bump does help slow people down, because I mean, there's many times, I've almost been, those cars are going, they go 30 miles an hour down the street, going north down Linder.
Thank you. Yes.
I would like to emphasize Trustee Gillis's observation last meeting concerning traffic on Linder Avenue. This Monday, I think it was the 8th, my wife and I counted cars from approximately 8 a.m. to approximately 4 p.m., not counting school buses, not counting residents. There were 8 cars that went down the Avenue. I think that's addresses the ordinance question.
Yes.
Kathy Cavaney. I've got a question about the bills list. On page 13 and page 14, there are 2, it looks like reimbursements to 2 individuals, and the description is payroll to be paid back. Clarify this? I've never seen that kind of entry before. Are these village employees?
Yes. Trustee Britton, would you like to take this, or would you like me to handle it? I can explain it.
Page 6.
our treasurer, I'm sorry, treasurer, sorry.
Your
Starts with
list
Dale,
of
starts with
bills,
T.
Maggie, Maggie, your list of bills is formatted differently. You have a portrait and she has landscape, so page.
Who was the page?
Nancy Dowling is one, and Michelle Holman is the other. And
I
it
can
says,
explain it, never mind. What happened in this last payroll, these two individuals were accidentally skipped from being paid.
ooh,
And so even though it had many sets of eyes checking over it, they accidentally got skipped.
Okay.
And because of the time of year and the fact that people expect to get paid,
right,
we had to issue them checks out of this account, and they're going to reimburse when they get their
Just
check. I think
adjust.
they already have it.
okay,
They already have
Okay.
reimbursed the
That-
village.
that's fine.
That's what it was for.
okay. I have a couple of questions going back to the October committee meeting that Brian Eber was here. During his conversation with us, he had mentioned at the beginning of the conversation that he noticed that there is a residential property that is noted as being included in the special flood hazard area, and it's coded wrong. The house technically is not in a flood zone. And I remember during the question and comments afterwards, I had inquired if he has this information. I know that he can't share it with us because it's, you know, private info, but Don was, or somebody was supposed to follow up with him to mention.
I'm sorry, fire away, give me again.
Pardon me?
Give it to me again.
Okay, during Brian Eber's address to us back in October, he had made a comment during the beginning portion of his speech that he had noticed there was a property in Midlothian that is not in the floodplain, but it was coded improperly as being in the floodplain, and therefore I believe these people, it might be a residence, I don't know if it's a residence or a commercial building, they're paying flood insurance and they shouldn't be. So during the question and answer, I specifically asked about that and asked if he or somebody from the village should get in touch with these people and let them know that they are not in the floodplain so that they don't have to pay flood insurance. And somebody was supposed to follow up with him, or he was supposed to follow up on it, so I'm just asking the question to make sure that somebody follows up with Brian and that he follows up with this individual. Okay. Also, during his conversation, when he was confirming to us what the village deficiencies were as far as us not being in compliance with the National Flood Insurance Plan, which is one of our village ordinances, one of the items was that there are no policies and procedures in the building department for those employees to follow. And he and I had asked, is there, you know, policies and procedures in place that we could copy and paste and, you know, kind of use that as a template to start? And he had mentioned that there was a flow chart that was part of the National Flood Insurance Plan. And somebody was supposed to get a hold of that flow chart and share it with the employees. And so until policies and procedures could be written, they could at least get familiar with that flow chart so that as people are calling the village and asking questions and, you know, moving forward with their lives, that the two building department clerks do have, you know, some correct information to pass on. So I'm just wondering if anybody has looked into that?
I'll take the ball on that too, if I was supposed to originally answer it, but I'll take the ball on and make sure.
Okay.
It's basically got to be on the website.
Pardon me?
Probably got to be on the website.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, let's find people when I ask them about the other thing.
So, okay, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else who'd like to address the board? Yes.
I have a question. I'd like to know if there's anything being done about the house on 148th Street. I think it's 4230 something on 148th Street. At one time, there was a dumpster there. It's been a real mess there for, I'd say, over a year.
Well, that's the split level, that's the split level there, right?
Huh?
That's the split level there, that's all boarded up.
Yeah, and it's
I've
been
seen
a
that-
real,
seen that every
a
day.
real mess there for quite some time.
I'm not aware of any activity at this time going on at that location, but I can look it up and I can get you a better answer.
Okay.
Actually, I think I had inquired with the building department, it needs to be found out that house is bank owned. Jerry, I went over with you on that, that could possibly be targeted for demolition.
Okay. Yes.
Hopefully a super quick answer to a question of convenience. How is it or why is it that you, and it is of no person to you, please, Maggie, why is it you end up with one version of the same information compared to Kathy? It's one of those, it's not you. It's a pattern of this village that I'm quite disturbed at, that tonight she just cited a page, and luckily, yes, I noticed, you know what I mean, that your portrait, so it was one of those, okay, wait, you know, you two were able to get on track. You know, you just switched from a page, dropped that, and you just, you know, asked the names. But to the village then, why is that tonight even, take a look what just happened. One of the residents was trying to really quick reference something on a document they were given. The person who could have answered the question actually has a different document. Why does that kind of stuff keep on happening in this village?
Well, I brought a document that has more documentation. Mine is a
Okay.
little bit, and which is why I brought it, because sometimes they might ask a question and I have a larger document, I have notes on mine, so the pages don't correspond with hers because
Okay.
it's a larger one. So in the future, I'm still gonna bring my more detailed one, but I'll make sure I have the more concise one there, so if there's a question, I can answer that more readily.
And I appreciate your response, thank you.
Yes. Lovely day Saturday. The parade, everything up at the gazebo and that, very nice.
Thank you for attending. It was a very nice job done by everybody. Everybody put a big effort into that day. It was very nice. And the weather held out. It was nice for that. Yes.
I just want to make one more comment about the traffic on Linder. I don't know what's there during the day, we're at work, but in the evening, I take my dog for a walk. I've had more than 6 cars go up and down the street as I'm walking my dog, so maybe it's only 8 during the daytime, but once you get into the late afternoon and evening, when people are home, there's a lot more traffic on that street. And they use speed.
Thank you. With no further comments from the public, I will close the floor to public comment. Trustees, while I did not have it on the agenda, it was posted out front. I'd be looking for a motion for the consent agenda. That's the approval of the board minutes from October 28th that were corrected, the approval of the committee minutes from November 4th, the closed session minutes from November 4th, the minutes from the board meeting on November 11th, the bill list, and the approval of the October treasurer's report.
Motion that 560 taken off the treasurer's report, because I don't have a copy of this.
I sent it yesterday. No?
I don't have the treasurer's report either, and I would like to have item number 4 removed. Mayor, I sent minute corrections.
Yes, and actually I gave them to our recording secretary, and she was still kind of confused with what you wanted your business to say. And as far as trustee Ivins, after reviewing her notes and tape, there was no further information to go under his business, so she doesn't know what you wanted added under there.
Okay, well, can we remove them and I can clarify?
Sure. Okay, so
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda items 1, 2, 3, and 5.
Okay.
I'll second.
Trustee LaRue?
Aye.
Trustee Motzko?
Aye.
Trustee Gillis?
Aye.
Trustee Iden?
Aye.
Trustee Killaway? Aye. Trustee Price?
Aye.
Okay, we'll move on to trustees' business. Trustee Price?
On last Thursday, December 3rd, it was a mandatory meeting in Schaumburg, which I attended, on the CMAC TAP project it was a project initiation meeting at IDOT's headquarters. This mandatory meeting is in regard to the almost $1 million grant that the village is going to receive, which is 80% funded by CMAC and the 20% match funded by the local match funded by the Regional Transportation Authority. It was a good meeting. Joe and Jeff, here are your homework assignments.
Oh, cool.
I emailed you. I tried to get packets, but they were all gone. A lot of information. Again, the RTA board is scheduled to approve the project at their board meeting in December. I think the good news is that we had a kickoff meeting with our planning liaison, and our planning liaison is Dennis Lotto, who is now the transportation manager and South Suburban mayors and managers who I have a great working relationship with. So stay tuned. This is again to pay for new sidewalks, crosswalks, pedestrian lighting, handicap detectable warnings in our downtown area, and we have a lot of work ahead of us. Jeff, a lot of this is beyond my scope of knowledge with the engineering. The phase 1 is done, next will be the phase 2 engineering. So stay tuned, we will have our kickoff meeting, and I don't believe construction will start until 2017, Jeff? Is that your understanding?
Yeah, it looks like it's probably gonna be fall 2017 or perhaps the spring of 2018.
So, and that's how they fit the funding into these are federal funds, that's how they were able to fit the funding in their federal
But
program.
it's good news that they're asking us to move ahead now.
Yes.
Because that will put us in a position to jump on an earlier project money if they allow us to.
So, Karen, all the money spent out of this grant is just gonna be on 147th Street, correct?
No.
Or it's gonna be in the whole
In the
downtown?
transit-oriented development area, we have specific crosswalks. We have a big map with,
Would that include the crosswalk or the intersection at 145th and Pulaski where there's no sidewalks along that half a
Kathy,
block?
I don't have the plan in front of me, Jeff. I don't know if you recall every detail, because there's $1 million of improvements.
I
Okay.
think most of it was on 147, so
Most
maybe
of it.
not. Yeah, I don't think it
Because
does.
if you recall last winter when we had all that snow, I had brought up the fact that over by the boys baseball field along 145th.
That's not in the TOD.
That's not in the TOD?
That's not in the
Okay,
TOD.
that's why I was asking. I wasn't sure if the
I don't
TOD
believe
went
that.
that far.
The point of the
Okay,
grant was to.
no problem, no
to
problem.
Make it easier to access transit, that's the metro station.
Oh, okay. All right, that's fine.
But stay tuned, we're moving forward, and again, almost $1 million, not a penny out of village funds, so.
Very good.
And my next item, I went, and then on Friday afternoon, I took the train down to the Calumet Stormwater Collaborative meeting at the Metropolitan Planning Council, and it's really, the Metropolitan Planning Council is doing just great work on stormwater. And one of the presenters was our friend Brian Eber from the Illinois Department of Natural Resources. And Brian gave a really, really good presentation. If anybody would like it, I'd be happy to share it with you. But I think we are, I think we've got a good working relationship with Brian. I know I do. I've been emailing him back and forth. He actually sent our building superintendent job description to the Illinois Association of Stormwater and Floodplain Managers and asked them to get it on their website. So I think he truly is a friend to Midlothian. I learned a lot. I learned a lot that outside of what the presentation that he gave to the board. So if anybody would like this.
Did they tell you any, in any conjunction to where they're gonna be moving the floodplain out of Midlothian?
No, this is a Calumet Stormwater
Oh,
Collaborative. This is very global. And Brian is with the Illinois Department of Natural
Got it.
Resources, okay? So, but anyway, I thought it was good. And one of the speakers there, or he wasn't on the agenda, but he talked about it, John Watson from the Water Reclamation District, and he talked about all of the green infrastructure projects they've done in Blue Island, and they're looking for additional projects. So I emailed him a project for Midlothian, and he has already sent it on to his supervisor. So stay tuned. That's why it's really important. Again, I keep saying we got to be at the table. We got to be at the table. We're at the table. Hopefully, we get more funding or more opportunities. So MWRD has been a great partner to Midlothian. So I thought that made it worthwhile, and just having the chance to even talk one-on-one with Brian Eber again. Tomorrow, 1 o'clock, Natalie Creek Trail Steering Committee will be convening here. A lot of work going on, a lot of mapping, a lot of way to get the parcels we need. So that is tomorrow, and then next week, next Wednesday, we have our Rain Ready Steering Committee meeting, and Jeff and Joe, I sent you an email. Can you both talk about inflow and infiltration? Okay, and we also have our Complete Street Steering Committee. So this is all grant work going on, a lot of work. Stay tuned, you'll hopefully see the results of this in the future. And that is actually all I have to report on this evening.
Thank you. Trustee Ivan?
Did you have a question? I had a question, because you're talking about water and everything. We have that retention pond on Linder, and then we have.
That's Trib C. That's Tributary C.
Oh, right, exactly. Do we know what they're gonna do? I mean, we've got little markers all over there, they were out there measuring.
Crestwood has a project going on.
Well, yeah, we saw that.
Yeah, they have a project going on for Bremen Township also. They're supposed to do some bank stabilization, widening of that creek. They're gonna reconfigure the outflow of the retention pond.
Okay.
It's gonna do great things for you guys.
Okay, that's all.
It's in the works.
Okay, I wondered about that, thank you.
All right. Basically, Public Works, we created a new status report now, which is going to be available for you guys to look at. We'll give more details and a little more history and style to our status reporting for Public Works.
Would the trustee move his microphone? Yes.
All right. So we're producing a new status report. Does that sound better?
That's better.
Because it sounded like you said stash.
No, I'm sorry.
Status.
I didn't say status. It's a status report. It's a new format. It's got some more explanation in it. I'm also going to make a change to the agenda. I'm not going to look for the approval for the lawns landscaping contract. We're basically spending $6,500 for 55 new trees to replace the ash trees. Just, or at least not at this time, I guess it would be the best way to describe that. But I am going to make a motion for the invoice though for to pay the invoice from them, requesting payment for money that they left in retention for the water main project that was done in 2012. Invoice would be paid out of the water bond funds. And the reason the funds were left in retention for so long was they were waiting on the village to obtain a 10-foot easement on Cicero from 147th to 145th. And it will still be leaving about $1,000 in retention so that to be able to complete the work when the village finally gets the easement. So I'd like to make that motion to pay that invoice for $40,472.21.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Trustee Ivan?
Aye.
Trustee LaRue?
Aye.
Trustee Gillis?
Aye.
Trustee Killily?
Aye.
Trustee Kreis?
Aye.
Trustee Mosco?
Aye.
Motion passes.
I would also like to make a motion to buy the pump, the 4-inch Cochin trash pump that we're going to purchase to replace our existing 4-inch pump because the parts were not available to update or repair it. So it goes for $3,285, so I'd like to make a motion to pay that one as well.
Is that on the agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
Where?
And Joe,
Down.
Oh, down the bottom, sorry.
and Superintendent Sperry did send us all of the information.
Yes.
Yes, he did. Oh, there.
So I'm looking for a second.
I'll second.
Can we,
Discussion?
anything good left on it, the old pump?
Yeah, we'll hang on to it, and see, use it for some parts, but it's from 19, I forget what the date was. I had it on the number, but it's pretty old. We bought it used.
Like brand
We bought it used. You know, we get our use out of pumps around here.
Yes, you do.
They don't make parts for it anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe you should put it at the pump house.
Trustee Ivan?
Aye.
Trustee Kreis?
Aye.
Trustee Gillis?
Aye.
Trustee Killily?
Aye.
Trustee LaRue?
Aye.
Trustee Mosco?
Aye.
Motion passes.
That would be it for me then.
Okay. Trustee Gillis?
Yes, a few things. Just giving a building department update on current buildings or current businesses that are in the works. Midlothian Storage has been moving along, working on their stairways and elevator shafts. The nice weather has helped out to get some additional work done. So I believe they're going to continue until the weather changes. Our daycare facility has been working on final inspections. I believe the electrical has been finalized. This Friday, I believe they're going to do the plumbing. And hopefully early next week, we'll get the fire department and health department in there, so we'll have some movement on that. The building department has been working on generating a information list from some address issues that Deputy Chief Rita has worked on as far as premises identification. Our building department is going to generate a mailing list to inform the apartments, condos, and businesses that are not in compliance with this identification. And they're going to give them a time period to correct that, and hopefully we'll get some new signage that is per our code that will show a minimum of at least 4 inches, a width of at least a half of inch, so our public works, police, and fire will have a more easier way to identify buildings and locations within town. So they're working on that. And along with that, we have also identified a couple of areas that we'd like to see enforced pertaining to a couple of our ordinances that are not being enforced as diligently as they should. One of them is which residents in condos and apartments pertaining to trash containers. We do have an ordinance that requires our homeowners to secure their containers out of view from the street. The building department will be reminding our residents with a white door tag that will be used to enforce this ordinance so that we have a more contingent uniformity with people putting in their garbage cans behind their house, out of sight from the street or property line. This is done so that we can comply with our ordinance and we have a better looking village throughout. Excuse me. With that, they will also be tackling the areas with our apartments and condominiums that have 1.5 cubic foot dumpsters on their property for the dwellings itself. We've had a issue with rodents during the fall at 146 in Kedzie area. If anybody has driven by, we also have an area where our dumpster lids don't stay secure. So a lot of trash has been blown around, so we're going to tackle that area so that our owners of these dwellings and apartments comply with our ordinance so that we are keeping the house as clean as possible. So these are some of the areas that the building department is working on. Let's see, what else?
Hey, Jerry, you said Kedzie, but you meant Keystone?
Keystone, yes, I'm sorry. Keystone area. We had a couple issues with a business on Cicero that's being addressed with a parking issue. We had some problems with locating a site review plan specifying how many vehicles that they are allowed on their property, so we're working on that. The additional building applications that are out there, most of them are working on rough draft finals, so we have about 7 or 8 pending businesses that will be opening when our final inspections are done. And I believe that's all I have.
Thank you. Trustee LaRue.
Yes, ma'am. I gave everyone a copy of the final draft of the paramedic rider waiver and release form. We've been discussing for quite a while now. I'm making a motion that we approve this paramedic rider waiver and release form.
And this has been totally vetted by the attorney.
A second.
Any further discussion? Trustee LaRue.
Aye.
Trustee Iden.
Aye.
Trustee Gillis.
Aye.
Trustee Killily.
Aye.
Trustee Kreis.
Aye.
Trustee Motzko.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Chief. Good to go. I'd also like to make a motion that we approve Fire Chief Hotwagner to be allowed to carry over the few unused vacation days into the first quarter of calendar year 2016.
I'll second it.
Discussion? Trustee LaRue.
Aye.
Trustee Iden.
Aye.
Trustee Gillis.
Aye.
Trustee Killilee.
Aye.
Trustee Kreis.
Aye.
Trustee Masko.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. And I would also am making a motion that we approve the hiring of the full-time firefighter paramedic Kyle Kazanowski.
I'll second.
He will be sworn in at the December 23rd meeting. After you guys vote for him, hold on. Trustee LaRue?
Aye.
Trustee Kreis?
Aye.
Trustee Gillis?
Aye.
Trustee Ivan?
Aye.
Trustee Killilee?
Aye.
Trustee Masko?
Aye.
Now on the 23rd, he'll be sworn in.
Bright young man. We're excited to have him on the department. I also like to remind everyone once again of the toy drive that our community policing committee and neighborhood watch group are having. We are collecting gifts through this weekend. We are also having a big wrapping party here this Sunday at noon, starting here in the village chamber. So far, we've gotten some large donations from the Police Association, the Firefighters Association, Mayor Ryback, and I know there's some others coming soon. So we're doing well, and we'll definitely need help wrapping. So this year we are working with St. Vincent de Paul Food Pantry through St. Christopher's Church and St. Stephen's Church. We'll be giving away the toys on December 17th, 18th, and 19th at St. Christopher's. So appreciate everyone that's helped out so far, and everybody's thinking last minute, here's a chance to add on to our toy total. So thank you all again.
Okay, thank you.
And I know Chief Hoffman has some things with those.
Okay. Trustee Killilee?
Nothing.
Trustee Masko?
I have nothing to
Okay. All right, for my business, I'd be looking for a motion to remove the northmost speed hump on Linder Avenue and install a stop sign instead.
Well, I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Can I say something?
Can you say something without having a second?
There's no second, it dies, and then trustee LaRue can say whatever you want.
Okay. This motion dies. Now you can talk.
We've gone back and forth with this for many weeks now. This has been on the agenda. We spent hours here at the meetings talking about it. And I know a lot of the trustees have gone out in the field and looked at it. The issue was brought to us, it was such a severe safety issue for the residents that we voted to install the 2 speed humps. I don't believe that issue has been resolved, so removing the speed humps just doesn't sit well with me right at this time, so that's why I didn't say it.
Okay. Appreciate it.
And if I could make a comment, those who know me, I run and I bike, and I go over a lot of speed humps, especially the ones on Long Avenue, and I do think they serve a purpose. And since I do run almost every day, and I bike frequently, but I run more, I'm very conscious of the vehicles and the speed, and safety first, all the time, safety first. And you can tell by looking at my gym shoes, they're falling apart, I do, so. But really, safety first.
I'd also like to say something. One of the things that I brought up was generating a traffic calming procedure. I think that should be our next move. I don't necessarily agree with the speed humps being in there. I actually made the comment of putting in a stop sign, and the more research I did, the more research told me that the stop sign itself would probably be a larger deterrent because people get aggravated when they stop and then they speed up right after that. That's a known fact that happens throughout different areas. I personally understand that the speed humps were put in there. I feel that as a board we need to do more homework and address this issue down the road through a traffic calming procedure policy, which should go hand in hand with our school walk route plan too. And this was all identified in our active transportation plan, so I believe this is the next avenue we should address this, because I believe this issue with speed humps will come up again. It has in the past at different locations, the last one being Rosner Park. We added additional stop signs there. So as much as we've worked on this, I believe this situation with the speed humps should stay open until we develop a traffic calming procedure plan for our village.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, I have the approval to pay the tabled bill from a previous month for the GTL grass cutting from over the summer.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Trustee LaRue?
Aye.
Trustee Gillis?
Aye.
Trustee Ivan?
Aye.
Trustee Killily?
Aye.
Trustee Kreis?
Aye.
Trustee Masto?
Aye.
Motion carries. I'd be looking for the approval of the resolution to appoint Mary Britton as the IMRF agent, so she can be a signing agent and answer questions for IMRF. With Kim leaving, we have nobody in that position, so I'd be looking for a motion to approve that resolution.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second. I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Trustee Gillis?
Aye.
Trustee LaRue?
Aye.
Trustee Ivan?
Aye.
Trustee Killily?
Aye.
Trustee Kreis?
Aye.
Trustee Masko?
Aye.
Motion passes. I'd be looking for the approval of the 2016 levy ordinance that was discussed last week at the committee meeting in quite length. After discussion with the board last week, it was decided we use the 1.6 CPI to do the levy, and I'd be looking for a motion to approve it.
Mayor, I don't think we have the ordinance.
Did nobody get my email yesterday?
The only email I got was just the agenda, there was no attachment.
That's all I received too, Mayor.
I inquired with the mayor about not receiving it earlier today, and she forwarded me an email.
Seriously?
It was timestamped to like 2:48, I think, but I did not receive it either in my mailbox.
Because that's why I'm really confused that you don't have the items I'm talking about, because this is what I faxed, or not faxed, but emailed to everybody yesterday. And it had, because you have the treasurer's report then.
No, I do now, when you sent it.
You have it the second time today. Okay. I apologize for them not getting through to you. They are basically the legal documents. Seeing that light that you guys did not receive them, because Karen and I actually sent them right after.
I never got them.
No. I wish somebody would have said something, because you had emailed me and
Right.
said, and I said I just sent them, and I never heard back from any of you. So, and I tried, Trustee Killily had called me earlier today. I reached out to him to have a phone call, and I never got a call back,
Today
so.
was an interesting day.
Okay, well, with that,
I don't think it really matters if we would have got back to you, because we didn't get this until Tuesday, so we really didn't have enough time to look at it anyway, so, I mean,
48 hours is the standard.
we can table it to next week.
Yeah, why don't we have a special meeting next week and approve it?
okay. Then
I'll make a motion to table that.
the two ordinances.
Please.
Do we need a motion to table individually?
Individual?
Yeah, okay.
I'll second that motion.
Which one I just motion for?
The levy.
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 Table first. And second, okay. Trustee LaRue?
Aye.
Trustee Killily?
Aye.
Trustee Gillis?
Aye.
Trustee Ivan?
Aye.
Trustee Kreis?
Aye.
Trustee Masko?
Aye.
And the other levy, or the other ordinance was for the liquor license ordinance.
And I'll make the motion to table that one.
I'll second.
Trustee Killily?
Aye.
Trustee Masko?
Aye.
Trustee Gillis?
Aye.
Trustee Ivan?
Aye.
Trustee Kreis?
Aye.
Trustee LaRue?
Aye.
Okay, the last, I've got two more, actually three more items. I have been, I got a legal request from Tony Razik for the Dollar Tree building across the street, and he is I'm looking into this, he's saying he's looking to extend his Class 8. I'm not really sure that that property even has a Class 8 as of right now. So I'm still doing some background. I did not know what your feelings were about giving the Dollar Tree building a Class 8. He says it's the only way he'll possibly be able to rent out the other portion is by keeping the property taxes down over there. So once I find out if this is an extension or if it's a revisit or a new one, I will get you guys that information. And then also, I've been receiving emails from the Dollar General. I thought Karen, you had taken care of that, the property over on Cicero.
I was never involved with that.
Okay, see, I thought you were.
No,
you
you.
were. Okay. They're asking once again, they're pretty sure we're gonna lose a business, and with the corner not yet being developed, that they really would like us to consider extending their Class 8. And I said I would ask the board one more time, but that our initial reaction was no, not to. I'm asking.
Well, I think precedent, we had another business, Mr. Submarine asked for a Class 8 extension. And the board's decision was, I drafted a letter, and the board's desire was, the only way the board would consider any Class 8 extensions was if there was an expansion of their business and or an increase in employees and job creation. And I thought that was the stance that the board had took. And again, Mr. Submarine had contacted me numerous times. I sent the letter, the attorney called, we had a conversation, and I told him that was the board's decision. So I don't know that the board has changed their mind, but I think if we were to do it for one, we would have to, it's Katie bar the door, we're gonna have to do it for everybody. And again, they get a reduction, somebody else's taxes are going to increase. So, I know my position has not changed. I don't know how the rest of the board feels.
That's a good reason to do that. I guess they did something with their signs.
Yeah, they were gonna do some stuff with the
Yeah.
signs and then some of the facial work. But I know when you and I went out on the field trip, they weren't planning anything too large.
No.
And they weren't talking about increasing any jobs in the village.
No.
So,
I mean, the whole point of the Class 8 is to spur economic development.
Correct.
And job growth, and I don't know, we can't provide that.
okay, no, I will contact and let them know.
Can I ask a question about Class 8s? Are they typically for 10 years, or can they be for any length of time that the village and the county deem appropriate? Are they
It's
standard?
12 years.
12 years.
Oh,
12
they're 12 years? Okay.
Yeah, and it's standard.
Oh, it's standard 12 years, okay.
And lastly, I have sent you the newest report from Crow Horwath. I have not heard anything back from any of you. I'm asking that if you have any further changes, I would like to get it approved so I can get it over to Gladry so we can get their audit finalized. Now we're officially 2 behind. And so if I don't hear from anybody by the end of this week, I'll tell them we're
I'm not
finalized.
aware of anything else that you.
Well, if Mayor, I just had an opportunity to look at it this evening because I've been a little busy with all these other grants. But a couple things that jumped out as I went through the latest information you sent was, again, we still have a number of missing invoices. And I guess I'm troubled by that, and I don't know if there's anything else we can do or Treasurer Britton can do. I mean, I see here Dell, Midwest Meter. I know.
We have exhausted every possible.
Even calling the vendors?
We've definitely called
Several
them.
times. Okay.
Yeah, we've done just about everything possible except making it up ourselves and faking an invoice.
Okay.
Because we just cannot locate them and not getting the cooperation from the companies.
And even if in Public Works, wouldn't have, Midwest, you don't have it, Joe?
No, they've looked.
I'm sure you have, and you have pretty good files.
Yeah, I've reached out to Rick too. He said
Okay.
that would have been something that was up front.
The other question I have, or comment, there's a couple invoices here that were paid. One was Carey Masonry, one was Shamrock for the painting of Village Hall, and I think They're listed on here as, they don't appear to be allowable, but, and I'm not quite sure why.
The reason they're not allowable under that grant is because the 2010A was very, very specific. You could only use that money for streets and for water improvements. There was no money. In the other two grants you're talking, there was always a caveat of some sort of village improvement. There was none of that caveat in the 2010A. That's why.
What about the 2010?
2010 is all gone, so there was no money to take from there.
The 2010 is not overrun.
According to this report, it is.
No, we have 297,000 left in capital improvement, as I understand.
According to the auditor's report, it's gone. There was a zero balance at the end of the 2010.
That's something for the finance committee to double check.
Okay?
Can I ask a question? When the village hall was painted, wasn't, you know, we still have this question about the $100,000 grant from Rep. Will Davis that we haven't gotten funds for. And if that painting bill was paid out of a grant fund that's not allowable, then should the village regular operating fund reimburse that grant fund so that the money is where it's supposed to be?
And I believe that's going to be a recommendation from our auditors, is that we actually do that kind of repayment plan. You are correct, Kathy.
And based on a letter I got from the state today, which I will share with the board at our next meeting, it doesn't look like we're gonna be getting any money anytime soon on any grants related to capital projects.
And by the way, when you opened up the OIG office, didn't you actually open up an avenue to where, because of that existence, could you not compel these vendors that are refusing the two of you to give copies of these invoices that, due to this being classified as a forensic audit, if we're understanding correctly, could that not fall under their jurisdiction perhaps? And then it might be worth looking into to see if something from the OIG office to the vendors would be appropriate or not, kind of thing?
I can ask them. Thank you. The last bit of news I do have is from the state, and that's a little bit better news. They are going to be releasing our MFT and all the 4 funds.
MFT, gambling.
Local use and 911. Yep. So we will be getting that money back. So,
Sorry, not to go
Yes.
back, sorry, to the audit report.
Yes.
There's an item under, I think that was the 2010. Lost my page. Under the 2010 Avon, under not allowable, payment to CNB Bank for $174,000 for property taxes.
that, and I actually did call her on that because I wanted it to be allowable, because I was told by our past treasurer, the taxes on the Cicero Avenue property were allowable out of capital improvement money. That's the only reason we took them out of there.
Yeah, I mean, the purchase money is.
But they gave us the
He rolls it
purchase, right, they gave us the purchase and they gave us the earnest or the down payment, but then they told us, no, you couldn't use the tax money for that. So I'm waiting for clarification back from her why she disallowed that payment. Go on to department heads.
Mayor,
Huh?
Ms. Britton, we have police and fire.
Oh, I'm sorry, I did, you're right. I'd be looking for a motion to appoint Mary Britton to both the police and fire pensions. Thank you.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Trustee Masto?
Aye.
Trustee LaRue?
Aye.
Trustee Gillis?
Aye.
Trustee Ivan?
Aye.
Trustee Killily?
Aye.
Trustee Kreis?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. We'll go on to department heads. Chief Hotwagner?
Just a few updates on the ambulances. The ambulance that was in the accident, 2712, is in the shop. Hopefully we'll know if it'll be done by the end of this week, possibly, or next week, early next week, and we'll get that back in service. The new ambulance will be done December 17th. However, the shop's closed for 2 weeks, so we won't be going out there till January 3rd, 4th, and 5th for a final inspection. And then after that, it'll go to St. John, Indiana. They'll drive it out here, and it'll get lettered, and hoping to get it and stationed by mid-January, hopefully in service sometime in February, if the state does an inspection. And I'm meeting Monday next week with Pierce on the engine to go over the approval plans for the progress on the engine. That's all.
Because there's equipment that has to be, to outfit the new ambulance?
No, we gotta take it off the one that's in service now, transfer all over,
Okay.
have the state inspect it, and then we can put it in service.
Deputy Chief Delaney?
Yes, ma'am, I just had a letter from a citizen that I'd like to read. Katie Murray of Chicago. She addressed it to Chief Kaufman. I'm writing this letter on behalf of the Durkin family. My uncle Matt Durkin and his girlfriend were involved in a motorcycle accident northbound I-294 near 138th Street on October 10th around 3 p.m. After Matt was ejected off the motorcycle, he landed face down on the pavement. When the Illinois State Policeman arrived, he could not find a pulse on Matt and wanted to begin CPR. However, he was unable to flip over Matt onto his back without assistance. One of your officers, Joe Croak, was off duty and happened to be driving past the accident scene. He pulled over and was able to help the state trooper safely turn Matt over so he began CPR. Without Joe's help, Matt may not be alive today. Matt was transferred to Advocate Christ Medical Center, where he spent 2 weeks on a ventilator. Then he was transferred to RML, a specialty hospital in Hinsdale, where he began to become more awake. Matt is now at the Rehabilitation Institute of Chicago and has a tracheostomy and a feeding tube in his stomach. He's begun to work with physical therapists, speech therapists, and occupational therapists. He suffered from a traumatic brain injury, but he's still making small steps in the right direction, and we are pleased with his progress over the past 6 weeks. Officer Joe Croak is truly an angel to Matt and our family. We are touched by his compassion and his courage. He did not have to take the time to help others, but he did. The Midlothian Police Department is blessed to have an employee like Joe. Matt and our family have never met Joe, but he will always hold a special place in our hearts. With the utmost respect for his work ethic and want to inform the appropriate people of this special acknowledgement. Unfortunately, Officer Croak wasn't able to make it tonight because of a family obligation, but the police department did present him with a commendation for his efforts on that day.
Thank you very much. That's great news. That's great news. You can come share those kind of stories anytime.
Absolutely.
Mr. Goza?
Yes, Mayor, a few things. I want to let the board know I submitted the final plans for 144th and 149th Street resurfacing projects. So still on schedule for a March bid opening and hopefully in May construction start. Also, I have, pretty confident I have 13 of the 16 CAB properties adequately responded to. Just sent a request late today to the village for additional information on the 3 that we did not have any permits on. So hopefully you guys can take a second look for some info on those. If we can't find anything, we just have to get a little creative trying to figure out what was improved over the last 30 years. But I'm pretty confident in the 13 ones that I've completed, and speaking to something Kathy talked about, I'd be more than happy to talk with you, Don, about that training and the steps that the village need to do after every flood event to make sure those things are documented, because that's essentially what I had to recreate for this process.
So you would talk to Jerry?
Yeah, Jerry, absolutely.
Because you talked about the building department, what steps they should take to make sure all their bases are covered.
So yeah, anyway, hopefully once we get some information on those 3 properties, I'll provide everyone with my draft report and then get that into DNR. So I think that was it. Thank you.
I have a question. Has Robinson received the civil engineering plans?
I just got an email from Mike Midlothian this morning, and I'll be picking those up today. So, thank you for reminding me.
That's for the property on the owner of 147th Street.
That was told us the Ricky Rockets development.
Yes.
So when's construction's gonna start on Ricky Rocket?
We're just now reviewing the civil engineering plans, so I believe it'll be probably spring of 2016.
Cool.
I actually got contacted by Ricky Rockets today. They'd like to come in January and meet with the board. They have a new CEO
who's going to be heading up this department, or this construction and everything. And he just wanted you guys to meet him, so we all know who we're working with. So that'll be happening in January. Superintendent Sperry?
Just a quick update on the MFT program. For the most part, the roads have been resurfaced and completed. I'll be going out in the field to do a final inspection with the field engineer from Robinson on a punch list. There's a few things that need to be addressed before we ask for approval of pavement. So that's where we're at there. That's it.
Okay. Treasurer Britton, anything? No. Okay. At this time, I would be looking for a motion to go to closed session at 8 p.m. For the purpose of discussing pending litigation and collective bargaining.
I'll second.
Trustee Masto?
Aye.
Trustee Kreis?
Aye.
Trustee Gillis?
Aye.
Trustee Ivan?
Aye.
Trustee Killily?
Aye.
Trustee LaRue?
Aye.
Motion passes. There will be no action items after closed session.